President of Jobs General Trading for promotional items. Please welcome. Rani Rikabi Sukkari, Director of Marketing at MBC Group with 22 years of experience in marketing field. Please welcome. And Philippe Guinedo, you already know him, CEO of BrandTrends.
Thanks very much, Noah. So, please sit. We're going to start these sessions, but before, just want to highlight the fact that Mora said that she was hoping sunlight on the industry, and she bet she would be there because we have the sunlight. Have you seen the background on your office? I mean, in New York City, the fog and so on. Crazy. It's much warmer. Let me start with a few slides. First, strategies for succeeding in the MENA region. With obviously a focus on the key cultural and economic and political factors, but also to understand the challenge and opportunities in the regions. So that's basically what we are going to try to achieve in the next, let's say, 30 minutes. Hopefully, I guess, with us. Before we start, I'm going to present a few slides. I mean, I'm a market researcher, so you know, and I love presenting slides. I'm going to present a few slides. Oops, or am I? Up. Here we go. First, stating the obvious. It's crucial to understand the unique characteristic of the region. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we are talking about MENA regions, but MENA regions, what it is? It is 19 countries, over 500 and to name Sudan, for instance. It's one of the countries. When you spread the richest across all those countries, I mean, you're talking about different demographic targets, different consumers, different patterns, different ways, basically, to consume products. But good news, and that's one of the best news, there's a growing middle class. We estimate that there would be by 2030, there would be 400 million people in the middle class. And that middle class is craving for consumer products, for brands, and that's one of the good news for the licensing market. But as it was stated also in the previous panel, it's also a very young population. We are talking about 60% of the population under the age of 30 years old. So just mix young population, growing middle class. It's basically, I mean, I want to spend money. Basically what it says. Obviously, we've covered that a little bit on the previous one. We'll try to go through the examples with our distinguished panelists, but the cultural and religious diversity, obviously different religions, different cultural background, and so on. So we are talking about a puzzle, really a puzzle. It's obviously a region that is extremely energy dependency. It depends on oil and gas. Apologies, but also the last point, which is also an obvious one, the e-commerce growth. We estimate that internet users in MENA should reach about 200 million users on the Rani. How does MBC Group tailor their content to meet the cultural and social norms in the Middle East without compromising the brand identity or the content identity?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me here. As you all know, MBC has been for over 30 years in every household around the MENA region. Despite the diversity of the MENA region, we all share in this region cultural values and religious values that stem from the core of Arab and Islam. The thing is that we pride ourselves as MBC Group, and here I'm talking not only from the linear standpoint, but as well from the VOD standpoint, that we are a safe content. So we make sure that whether we acquire or commission content, we always make sure that the content is safe, it's culturally acceptable, but yet there is also the controversial factor. Entertainment is entertainment at the end of the day. We're not going to produce something that is boring, just because we want to be quote unquote safe. However, when we bring in foreign content, we need to ensure that this foreign content falls into our sphere of being culturally acceptable. That's one. And the fact that there's a lot of content that actually skews a lot of youth, and obviously our region is filled with youth. And the youth is by default, they are embarking on becoming their individual and having their own voice. And the growth of social media has allowed that. Everyone has an opinion and everyone has a thought, especially when it comes to the young. So we try our best to cater for content and get content that is relevant, but at the same time has this controversial value that we do. An example of that is how, if we go through the years, so from a Syrian dialect dubbed. Why did we do that then? It was then, at that time, the Syrian drama generally was on the rise. So this was one way of adapting to the people and the understanding of that culture. And we brought it from Turkey because they are the closest to our part of the world as MENA, whether looks-wise. They are an Islamic background, they have a similar values. So when you look at the content from that, it's a safe environment content. As you go through the years, there is a huge Korean now saga that is happening around the world amongst the youth. When we dubbed that content, simply dubbing that content, the youth started to attack us because they wanted subtitling, because they wanted to hear the Korean dialect, and they wanted to create content, and they wanted to listen to how this Korean language is happening. Yet, obviously, Korea is not Turkey. Korea has its own thing, but we, in order to fit the region, yet we keep the controversial aspect of the thing. I think the recent one was Stiletto. Stiletto was the replica, literally. It's a Turkish series that we literally replicated every scene on it. But the difference was that we brought our celebrities, the celebrities of the Arab world, to act on it. And it flew. People were loving it. Even the people who watched the entire Turkish version of that, and the exposure is massive in the MENA, they rewatched it, they compared it, and they loved it.
Thanks, Reddy. And I love your point on the controversial market researchers like us, trying to define what would be a nice character, what would be a nice story, but at the same time respecting some values and making sure that it was safe, it was polite, it was working fine for everybody, it was politically correct, as we should say. And in fact, I mean, after a couple of years, they just dropped the TV show just because it was a big failure. It was a failure because it was so boring that nobody was really watching it. I mean, entertainment is not about something flat and not telling stories. I mean, it has to talk basically to the heart. I mean, we talked earlier about the emotional connection. That's exactly what creates also controversy. So I love your point on that. Amar.
Hi, everyone.
Good. So now we're not going to talk about television or series or show, but we are going to the promotional side. So it's more on products based and on the sales part. But what are the main strategies to use to leverage licensing to grow the revenues towards the brands?
Yeah. Hi everyone, thank you for attending this event. I'm really honored. Who doesn't like a gift? Who doesn't like to be rewarded? So everyone, starting from Eve, she asked Adam to get that apple and it ended up here on Earth. So that's the origin of gifting. I've been in the business for over 20 years. Started my business in the retail business of gifting premiums. In the early 80s, it was just corporate gifting when the owner of the company or the management would like to offer HR gifting or for their clients, their special clients or corporate gifting. Then during the emerge of marketing trends, marketing and promotional projects, when you have the big FMCGs, mobile operators, tobacco companies, trying to drive their sales, trying to support loyalty to their brands, to do more branding, awareness, have more margins, so they have to do that promotional campaigns. Adding a gift, on-pack gifts, to the products would drive these sales up, would drive to them having more share in the market. The boom was actually in the 90s and up to 2000. Then, for sure, under the pressure of higher costs, charges, logistics, and competition, they needed to have like an upgrade, like an added value. So many trends help that, and especially after Corona and after the COVID, you need to have an added value to this brand. I can give two examples here by implementing the brand on a product. Whatever, if here if we can see if you can use Champ de Sheep on a milk product, you can give buy some packages. You can add a gift, or Super Wings for as a technology on back to school item, or Pinocchio for the family and for the picnics. We have also some previous experiences with the Tang. Tang is part of Mondelez Craft, a very famous brand for juices. Why do they need another brand? Because they need an added value. They need to reach other segments, other targets, other generations. As previously discussed, this generation is very smart. They open the YouTube, they open they watch streaming. They are not followed by their parents. Previously, if we gone back to the regular promotional campaigns, we were talking to the mother. We were targeting the mother because she would choose the product. Now, actually, the decision is common. Sometimes it's more. I have 4 years and 6 years old kids. They know exactly what to wear, what to drink, what to eat. Exactly. So how can I pull them? How can I draw their attention? I need something they like. If they like Smurfs, if they like any other product, any brand, even for generations, teenagers, they like some kind of sports. And we can see these many examples of co-branding big brands like Adidas and Gucci, and Gucci and Mickey Mouse. What comes between the common between Gucci and Mickey Mouse? That's the effects of licensing. Exactly. So if you see here many projects or many examples, you can do the co-branding on the product itself to avoid competition, to avoid discounts and many.
So it's a different world from the entertainment and the content. And by the way, for our defense, for our generation, when we were young, we didn't have mobile phones, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have access ourselves to that content that now our kids or the kids of our kids have. And that's the reason why we say they are more clever than us, but believe me, I mean, they have exactly the same intelligence than us. It's just that they have a different access to the content. And that's important because, I mean, it just shifts the power of the information in terms of how they get the information. So we went to the fact that MENA was a diverse and a puzzle, but a very specific region. Slide about its unaided mention, so spontaneous mentions. This is of the brands. Kids 3 to 14 years old, and I added Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. I apologize for combining the two countries, but at least I mean it demonstrates that there are plenty of very interesting things on that slide. The number one thing that I want you to highlight to see is that there is not so many local brands in the market. Spontaneous mentions first. The second point is we've got x-axis. You've got the intentions of future purchase, so basically the purchase intentions on consumer products, so products with that brand in it. I just highlighted a few 1% purchase intentions just because of the popularity, the fact that the kids know and the kids love. So that's also something important. But there's hope that we could create our own brands and export them. It's a demonstration that local brands can be a success as well outside, in the region and outside. So, in light of that, Rani,
I think there's always we're shy, because obviously we're an importing region. We rarely export from the regions, and we like just to copy paste. Again, back to your question, even the youth, they're trying to create this barrier between them and their parents, but I think still we are very entrenched in our cultural beliefs. So it's very difficult to, push it.
But what I want to take from your point, the fact that you try to search, and that's, as a market research person, I mean, that's what I really want to extract. I mean, we talk about brand affinity, we talk about emotional connection. Basically, what you're searching in the brands, or you're extracting one of the attributes or several attributes that will be.
Is that what we pride ourselves in is that we still have the safety aspect that we go to living rooms and we go to.
The third part of this session, we've seen the unicity of the region, we've seen the similarities with the rest of the world, but now what are the key factors to consider in succeeding in that endeavor? Because at the end of the day, you want to succeed in the region. So I'm going to take my question because I want to look clever. So that's the reason why I read my paper. I apologize for that. It's not that entertaining, but at least it's more accurate. What are some of the most effective marketing and distribution strategies that MBC Group, Rani, used to introduce new content in the Middle East, Saudi markets, and how they have evolved in recent years?
Okay, if you go, I've seen comments on social media from youngsters that talk about certain lighting that looks good or it doesn't look good. I have a 12 and a 7-year-old, 2 daughters, and I cannot understand what they want. So imagine someone in my place as marketing, and we have to talk to the youth, and especially the youth. It's no longer about people, old geezers like myself. We're talking to a new generation that is extremely, what I like to call now, we are all fighting for share of attention. It's no longer about what we say, share of voice or share of eyeball or share of, especially in our world, it's share of attention. When you look at Saudi and the growth of entertainment, I am competing, MBC and Shahid is competing with Boulevard Riyadh, which is an event happening on ground. The entertainment in Saudi Arabia has grown massively. So it's no longer, it's a share of time and share of attention, both. It's a mixture of both. So when it comes to our marketing strategies, it's more about where these people are and how relevant I am. So today I can take a piece of content. My job as a marketeer is, like they say in the old days of the cinema, get bums on the seat. That's my job. If the content does not deliver, I've done my job. The content, that's a different ballgame. But the thing is that how can I go to these platforms and put it on television, and then we carry it through all the way into social media, and I checked my box and I did my marketing activity. Now now you go into more details. Like we have a lot of content. Sure, people here would know, like Al Hayba, for example. This is one of our success content that we air, and it went like 5 series on it. The thing is that we started to go into character formation. So today, the character of Al Hayba or the character in the series starts to talk to the audience, and you don't see that on the content. It's like you carry this
market strategies and the way the trend or thinking what they are doing. You have to be close to the brands, to the patent products or to the innovations. It's gone where you try to bid for along with 10 suppliers or 10 vendors buying from China or India for anonymous or generic products. That's why we're in the licensing business. We need to be I don't want to and try to innovate and try to be agile, very fast moving. I will tell you our experience, especially after again we have to mention COVID, because it changed our life dramatically. We were a very simple, basic promotional items, giveaways company supplying to the corporate. In just a blink, everything stopped. No one is shipping, no one is doing business, contracts were cancelled. How do you want to shift? What are the trends? 180 to 200% of the trade in Saudi Arabia and UAE went digital. Everyone is at home. Facebook as a corporate platform. This is really interesting. Some companies, they don't have even a website. They do have a Facebook platform. While TikTok is doing great in Saudi Arabia, while Instagram in other places, LinkedIn used for other purposes. Again, simplicity, a strong ecosystem, great partners in all sectors that you need to focus on, great brands and good brands that unserviced, you can do partnership with them, and this is the key to success on personal level.
Thank you very much. And I like what you've said about the digital part, because it will be a very nice introduction for the next session after the coffee break about the metaverse and the NFTs and this new exciting world. So, I mean, to conclude, I mean, I would like first to thank Rani and Amar about their participation and what they share in terms of insights. I hope that you found that valuable, but thanks very much. And I invite you for a coffee break, let's say 20 minutes, so we'll get back in 20 minutes. For the last part, so we'll have two sessions. The first one is about the metaverse and the NFT, where you will see some examples and some showcases and some nice metaverses operations. And believe me, I mean, we're not like Mark, we believe in the metaverse. I believe in the metaverse. And then with Amar, we'll conclude that with the 12 trends of the licensing industry for the years to come. Thanks, and see you in the